God says this is very serious, and I am speaking to you in this moment because you were guided to this message by my own hand, not by coincidence, not by luck, not by chance, but because the Spirit has been watching you closely, and heaven has observed the weight you've been carrying in silence, the tears you never speak about, the questions that trouble your mind at night, and the quiet fear that tries to rest on your heart even when you pretend you are strong. God says, I am stepping into your atmosphere right now to warn you, protect you, and lift you, because something is approaching tonight at 10:15 p.m., something meant to shake you, something meant to confuse you, something meant to trouble your spirit. But I will not allow the enemy's plan to succeed over your life. I am sending this message urgently because you need to open it before it's too late, because if you leave it, you will cry so much afterward, and I don't want to see you broken again, not after everything you've survived, not after everything you've risen from, not after all the storms that should have destroyed you but didn't. God says, I am with you, and nothing will go wrong with you, but you must listen to me right now and not delay another second. Jesus is begging for you, only you, because he sees the spiritual battle surrounding you and he wants you to understand that you are not alone, that heaven has placed a shield over your life, and that a divine hand is pulling you away from a trap the enemy planned for you. Jesus is standing beside you in this moment, whispering into your spirit, trying to get your attention, trying to get your heart to slow down and feel his presence. Jesus says, you have ignored too many signs recently, and the enemy tried to use that distraction to slip something into your path, but grace stopped it. Jesus says, what is coming tonight at 10:15 p.m. is not designed to destroy you but to reveal the truth about someone, something, or some situation that has been hidden from you for too long, and if you ignore this message, you will miss the divine protection I am giving you right now, God says. This is not a message for the world, this is not a message for a group of people, this is not a message for your friends or your family, this is a message only for you, because you are the one going through the invisible battle that nobody else knows about. You are the one who has been fighting in silence while pretending everything is fine. You are the one who feels drained even when you smile. You are the one who feels something is coming, something shifting, something changing. You are the one who has sensed a strange heaviness recently, something unexplainable, something spiritual. God says, that heaviness is not random, that sensation is not your imagination, that pressure is not a coincidence. It is a sign that something in the unseen realm is moving, and I am trying to prepare you before it touches your physical world. God says, the reason this message reached you at this exact moment is because I pushed it into your life at the exact second your spirit was open enough to receive it. I am not late, I am not early, my timing is perfect. And tonight at 10:15 p.m., something will align, something will be revealed, something will try to approach you, and you must be spiritually ready. You must stay under my protection, because when my hand is over you, nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe, but you need to listen. You need to take this seriously. Heaven is not playing about you. Jesus is not playing about you. The angels around you are not silent for no reason, they are preparing. You have felt strange energies around you recently, moments where you felt watched, moments where your intuition felt louder than usual, moments where you felt like something was off but you couldn't explain it. God says, "That was me trying to warn you gently, but now the time is close, and I must speak loudly." Something is happening behind the scenes in your life, involving your destiny, your path, and someone whose intentions toward you are not as pure as you believe. Someone has been thinking about you heavily, speaking about you, planning something regarding you, but heaven has intercepted what they thought would go unnoticed. God says, "I am protecting you from a situation you don't even know is coming." Something was supposed to reach you tonight in a way that would break your spirit, but I have intervened. But you must be alert. Not afraid, just alert. Do not panic. Panic is not from me. Fear is not from me. Confusion is not from me. Protection is from me. Warning is from me. Guidance is from me. Love is from me. And this message is from me. You have survived things that should have ended you long ago. You have pushed through heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, and spiritual attacks that were designed to drown you. But you didn't drown. You didn't fall. And every time the enemy thought you were out, you rose again, stronger, wiser, more awakened. God says, "I have chosen you," and the enemy hates that. That is why this spiritual alert is happening tonight. But you are not to fear it, because my protection surrounds you like fire. God says, the message you are receiving is not something casual. It is a spiritual intervention. Heaven is stepping in. Jesus is stepping in. The angels are stepping in. And they are stepping in because your destiny is important, and your future is bigger than what you see right now. You are walking into a season of blessing, abundance, financial release, emotional healing, and divine justice. But before you receive what is yours, there is a final distraction that will attempt to come tonight. Something emotional, something connected to someone who either hurt you, betrayed you, or doubted you. This bad news is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to expose truth, to remove illusions, to separate you from what is not for you. God says, I am telling you this urgently because I want you to be spiritually prepared, emotionally guarded, and mentally strong. Do not let anyone's words disturb your peace tonight. Do not allow anyone's negativity to enter your spirit. Do not give energy to drama, conflict, or manipulation. Stand firm in prayer tonight before 10:15 p.m. Even a simple prayer from your heart will activate heaven's shield around you. Just close your eyes and say, God, protect me. That is enough. That is all heaven needs from you in this moment. Jesus is begging for you because he knows how sensitive your spirit is, how easily overwhelmed you can become, how deeply you feel things. He knows your heart. He knows how pure your intentions are. He knows you don't wish harm on anyone. He knows you have carried burdens that were never yours. He knows you have forgiven people who never apologized. He knows you have loved people who didn't treat you well. And Jesus says, it is time for you to be protected the way you protect others. It is time for heaven to shield you the way you shield the hearts of those around you, God says, tonight at 10:15 p.m. Expect clarity. Expect revelation. Expect exposure. Expect truth. Expect a shift in your spirit. Expect divine intervention. But do not expect harm, because nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You must trust me. You must pray. You must stay aligned. And you must listen. The enemy tried to scare you recently, but that fear was a lie. You are covered. You are favored. You are chosen. You are watched over. And no weapon formed against you will prosper, not tonight, not tomorrow, not ever. But you must open your spirit to me fully, without hesitation, without doubt, without delay, God says, from this moment until 10:15 p.m., be mindful of your emotions. Do not absorb negativity. Do not argue with anyone. Do not allow anyone to disturb your peace. Keep your spirit calm. Protect your energy. Stay in prayer. Stay in faith. Stay close to me. I will guide you. I will protect you. I will reveal what needs to be revealed. And you will understand why this message came to you today. Jesus says, I am standing beside you right now. You may not feel me physically, but spiritually, I am touching your heart, I am calming your spirit, I am clearing your path, and I am wiping away the unseen tears you haven't cried yet. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Heaven has been watching you since the day you were born. Angels have walked with you every time you felt abandoned. Grace has carried you every time you felt weak. And my love has sustained you even when you doubted yourself. God says, this urgent message is not meant to scare you, it is meant to empower you. I want you to know what is happening so you can walk with authority instead of fear. I want you to hold your head high instead of bowing in worry. I want you to walk in strength instead of trembling in uncertainty. You have my protection. You have my blessing. You have my attention. And this message is my way of covering you before anything reaches you. God says, open this quickly before it's too late, not because danger is coming to harm you, but because you need to be spiritually stronger before the truth reaches you. If you delay, you will feel overwhelmed. If you ignore it, you will cry later because you will not understand what is happening. But if you listen now, if you receive this now, if you trust me now, everything will make sense and nothing will shake your peace. God says, breathe. Calm your heart. Release your worry. I am with you. I am surrounding you. I am protecting you. And tonight, my presence will go before you and block everything that is not meant for you. Nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. Trust me. Pray to me. Keep your spirit open. And remember, this message reached you because heaven is fighting for you, loving you, and guiding you into a new season where everything will shift in your favor. God says, listen carefully, because this moment is not ordinary, and the timing of this message is not human timing. You are reading this because heaven pulled your spirit forward, because something in the invisible realm shifted around you, because tonight at 10:15 p.m. something was written in the spiritual book concerning you, and God did not want you to walk into it blindly. You need to breathe slowly and open your heart, because this message was pulled down from a place beyond light, and Jesus himself is leaning toward you, whispering gently that you cannot ignore this moment. You may think you just happened to open this, but heaven is telling you that you were guided, pushed, touched, and awakened to open this now before it becomes too late. God says He is speaking with an urgency that is rare, an urgency that comes only when something must be corrected or protected immediately. God says, this is very serious. And Jesus is not begging for many people today, He is begging for you. You may not understand why you carry such a weight on your soul, why your heart feels so connected to divine signs, why your life never matches the life of ordinary people. Jesus says it is because you are not ordinary. You were born with a spiritual imprint that marked you for divine encounters, divine warnings, divine protection, and divine breakthroughs. You were born with angels not just beside you, but attached to your destiny, walking with you even when you didn't see them, praying for you when you did not have the strength to pray for yourself. And now, heaven is shouting through silence, through intuition, through your heartbeat, through this message, because something is happening tonight that concerns your emotional, spiritual, and energetic life. God says there is very bad news scheduled for tonight at 10:15 p.m., something that was supposed to shake you, something that was supposed to hurt you, something that was planned without your knowledge. But God says you are reading this before it happened because He loves you enough to interrupt timelines, reroute outcomes, cancel shadows, and reveal what was hidden behind your back. God says, do not fear this message, because even though it begins with urgency, it ends with protection. Even though it speaks of what was planned against you, it reveals what heaven is planning for you. God says He is holding your name in His hands right now, and nothing will destroy you, nothing will break you, nothing will bring you down, as long as you listen to this message with the seriousness He is asking for. God is saying that tonight, someone's intention toward you shifts. Someone's thoughts about you are not what you believe. Someone who smiled at you, someone who acted close to you, someone who pretended to care, has been hiding something so deep. And tonight is the moment their mask almost slips off. God says you have sensed something for a long time, an uneasiness, a strange heaviness, a sudden intuition that something was off, but you ignored it because your heart is too pure. Jesus says your heart is soft, kind, forgiving, and because of that softness, you have been vulnerable to people who did not deserve even one moment of your loyalty. But tonight, heaven chose to intervene before your heart gets bruised again. God says that at 10:15 p.m., there is a spiritual attempt to drain you emotionally. The enemy wants you to doubt yourself, doubt your worth, doubt your purpose. It will come through a thought, an unexpected memory, a sudden anxiety, or a message from someone who should not have access to you anymore. But God says, once you read this entire message, once your heart absorbs every word heaven is sending to you, the bad news planned for tonight will not reach you. Heaven says that what was meant to hurt you will lose its power the moment you surrender your fear and trust God, because He is standing between you and anything that wishes to steal your peace. God says He knows how tired you are, how much you have carried, how many tears you kept hidden, how many disappointments you swallowed silently. Jesus is saying that He saw every moment you stayed strong when you wanted to collapse, when you kept smiling even when your heart was trembling. Heaven says your strength has reached the ears of angels, and they admire you more than you know. Jesus says He stands beside you tonight, not as a distant Savior, but as someone who understands your pain intimately. He knows the nights you couldn't sleep. He knows the doubts you tried to silence. He knows the times you begged for peace while battling thoughts that were too heavy for your soul. God says He is proud of you. He is proud that you did not break. He is proud that you kept going. He is proud that you still believe in love, even though love has disappointed you. He is proud that you still pray, even when prayer felt unanswered. He is proud that you still hope, even when life seemed to push you into hopelessness. God says you are stronger than you realize, and more chosen than you understand. Heaven says the reason this message had to come urgently is because there is a spiritual shift happening around you. Your life is entering a season of revelation. Truths are about to unfold. People's intentions will become clearer. Lies will collapse. Hidden motives will be revealed. And tonight's moment was the beginning of that revelation. God says you have been blindfolded by loyalty, by love, by trust, by innocence, and now He is removing the blindfold so you can finally see who is with you and who is against you. Not everyone who speaks softly wishes the best for you. Not everyone who smiles carries clean intentions. But God says you are protected even from the things you cannot see. God says someone has been thinking of you heavily. Someone connected to your past or someone who knows your energy very deeply. They were planning to reach out or do something tonight that would have confused your heart. Something that could have reopened an old wound or made you question your progress. But now God is stepping between you and that situation. He is putting spiritual distance between you and any person who would disturb your peace. Jesus says He refuses to let you be hurt again, not after everything you survived, not after everything you overcame, not when you are so close to a breakthrough that will change your life permanently. God says you have a destiny that cannot be altered by human hands. You are moving into a season of miracles that were delayed but never denied. God says new blessings are coming, emotional healing, financial stability, unexpected favor, doors that were locked finally opening. Heaven says you are entering a moment where everything that felt stuck begins to move, where everything that felt blocked begins to shift. But before God can elevate you, He must warn you. Before He blesses you, He must protect you. Before He opens new doors, He must close old ones that lead to heartbreak. Jesus says tonight is the night that something in the spiritual world breaks open. A chain that has been holding your life in place is breaking. A pattern that kept repeating is ending. A cycle that drained you emotionally is being cut off. Jesus says He is not only begging for you to listen, He is fighting for you. You do not see the battle, but heaven is moving around you. Your angels are in formation. Your name is being spoken in the heavenly court. God says He has placed divine authority on your life, and nothing in the darkness can remove it. God says the bad news scheduled for 10:15 p.m. loses its strength when you choose faith over fear. You may feel an emotional shift around that time, a heaviness, a sudden thought, a moment of sadness, a sense that something is not right. But God says, when it comes, you will recognize it. And instead of falling into it, you will rise above it. You will breathe. You will remember this message. You will speak God's name in your heart. And the heaviness will break before it touches you. God says He has already decided that nothing will go wrong with you, and you are safe, but you must choose trust. Jesus says you are entering a turning point. The next days, the next hours, the next moments will carry signs, messages, confirmations, dreams, and feelings that will guide you into your next chapter. You will see repeated numbers. You will feel sudden intuition. You will hear words in your spirit. You will feel protected when you walk. You will notice that people's true colors reveal themselves effortlessly. God says the light around you is increasing, and anything that does not match your destiny will be removed, gently, quietly, or suddenly. God says you have cried silently for too long. Your heart has carried pain that you never fully expressed. But He is healing you now. He is placing peace where fear once lived. He is placing clarity where confusion used to stay. He is placing blessings where disappointment once sat. And He is removing the energy of anyone who would have added more pain to your life. God says that tonight at 10:15 p.m. is not the moment to fear, but the moment to awaken. Heaven has already rewritten the outcome. Jesus says that you were not brought here to suffer. You were brought here to rise. You were not brought here to break, you were brought here to become unshakable. You were not brought here to cry endlessly, you were brought here to be strengthened and reborn. God says keep your faith steady. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit awake. You are safe. You are protected. You are watched over. And you are never alone. God says He will be with you tonight, at 10:15 p.m., and every moment after, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will go wrong with you. God says this is very serious, and even as these words reach you, a deep stirring begins in the unseen places around your life. Tonight is not about fear. Tonight is about awakening. Tonight is about you recognizing how deeply heaven has been watching, protecting, guiding, and guarding you even in moments you didn't know you were being carried. God says that Jesus Himself is kneeling beside your spirit right now, calling your name softly, like someone who doesn't want to lose you, like someone who has waited far too long for you to hear the truth that has been whispering through every moment of silence you have ever lived. This urgency is not to scare you but to save you from missing a blessing that has been prepared for you with divine hands. God says this is for you and only for you, because your heart has been marked for something sacred that no one else in this world can touch. God sees how tired you are. God sees how much you keep inside. God sees the weight you've been carrying quietly, pretending everything is fine when your soul has been crying for direction. And now God is stepping forward, telling you that something important is shifting, something that could have slipped away if you continued walking without pausing to listen. Heaven is not sending you a warning of danger, but a warning of urgency, the urgency of timing, the urgency of alignment, the urgency of accepting what is coming before doubt steals it from your hands. Tonight at 10:15 p.m. is not a moment of tragedy, it is a moment of awakening, a spiritual moment when something in your life receives clarity. If you ignore this message, you will not face harm, but you may miss a moment of truth that your heart has been asking for without words. God sent this so you do not miss it. God says He has seen every time you felt alone in rooms full of people. He has seen you keeping your pain hidden behind a smile so others wouldn't worry. He has seen you praying quietly for something to change, for a sign, for a breakthrough, for one moment that feels like a miracle. God says this message is that moment. The shift you've been waiting for cannot happen unless you become aware of it. The old path you were walking on was filled with confusion because it was not meant for the soul you carry. Heaven has been waiting for you to pause long enough for something extraordinary to reach you. Jesus is not begging in fear, He is begging in love, begging you not to walk away from what is already yours. God says the bad news that you fear tonight is not something happening to you, but something ending for you, a cycle, a burden, a delay, a spiritual blockage that has been pressing on your life for too long. It may feel like loss because endings always do, but heaven calls it release. God says He is removing something that has been slowing down your blessings. Something you thought was protecting you has actually been draining your strength, taking your joy, distracting your spirit, and pulling you away from your divine path. Tonight marks the spiritual moment when that season finally closes. That is why God is urging you to open your heart, because if you cling to what is ending, you may feel unnecessary sadness. But if you let go, something breathtaking will unfold, God says there is a truth you have been afraid to face about yourself, a truth about your strength, your purpose, your destiny. You underestimate your value because of the wounds you carry. You judge your future based on the storms you survived. But God says no storm can define someone He has chosen. You are not the person people think you are. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the pain you lived through. You are the one heaven has been protecting quietly while others misunderstood your silence. Jesus is pleading because He knows how close you are to giving up on something that is about to change. He knows how close you are to doubting something that heaven has already approved for you. God says someone in your life has not appreciated you the way you deserve. Someone has taken your goodness for granted. Someone has not spoken the truth that your spirit has been sensing. And tonight, spiritually, the truth begins to come to light. Something hidden starts to become visible. Something confusing starts to make sense. This is why God says if you walk away from this message without absorbing its meaning, you will feel emotional pain, not because something bad will happen, but because your soul will finally realize what it ignored. God wants you prepared, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, for a chapter that will remove illusions and reveal reality. God says you have been too patient. You have given too much of yourself. You have carried people who would never carry you. You have forgiven more than anyone knows. Heaven has watched you try to be strong while breaking inside. God says this is the final moment of that old version of you. You are entering a season where your spirit will no longer bend for people who do not honor your heart. Tonight marks the moment that heaven writes a new script for your life, one where you are protected, valued, supported, and guided without interruption. God says someone has been praying for you from the other side. Someone you love who is no longer on earth has been standing near you in moments when you felt completely alone. This soul has been asking God to give you strength, to give you clarity, to remove the people who bring confusion and keep the ones who bring love. They saw what you didn't see. They felt the energy around you that you couldn't detect. They know your heart, your innocence, your goodness, your sincerity. They have been begging heaven to protect you from heartbreak, from disappointment, from manipulation. This is part of the reason Jesus is urging you so strongly, because the prayers of the one who loves you have reached the highest places of heaven. God says you will not lose anything meant for you. You will not be harmed. You will not be punished. You will not be abandoned. You will not be left alone. The urgency in this message is not to frighten you but to wake you up to the truth that God has been preparing you for something greater, something you deserve, something that is coming sooner than you expect. Tonight is the beginning of alignment, a moment when your intuition strengthens, your heart becomes clearer, and your spirit becomes more stable. Something is shifting in the invisible realm around you, and God wants you to walk into it with awareness instead of fear. God says you must stop believing you are ordinary. You must stop thinking your life is small. You must stop hiding your dreams because of people who never believed in theirs. Heaven has been shaping your path quietly, piece by piece, moment by moment, without you noticing. Every disappointment was a redirection. Every heartbreak was protection. Every delay was divine timing. Every setback was preparation. Everything that felt like loss was actually God clearing space for something better. God says the blessing that has your name on it has been held back only because your heart wasn't ready. But now your spirit has reached a point of understanding, maturity, and wisdom that finally aligns with the magnitude of what is coming. You are stepping into a season where what was blocked becomes open, what was hidden becomes revealed, what was confusing becomes clear, and what was painful becomes purposeful. Tonight at 10:15 p.m., a moment will pass, a moment where your spirit will feel something shifting inside you, even if you cannot explain it. A sudden thought, a memory, a realization, a sense of release, a feeling of something lifting off your chest. That is the bad news ending, the departure of what was holding you back. God says you will not cry from pain. You will cry from release. You will cry from understanding. You will cry from relief. The tears you fear tonight are not tears of tragedy, they are tears of awakening. Jesus is begging not because you are at risk, but because you are at the edge of a transformation so important that heaven cannot let you overlook it. You are stepping into a chapter where your heart receives the love it deserves, where your spirit receives the peace it has needed, where your life receives the blessings it has been waiting for. God says trust Him. Trust this message. Trust the feeling rising inside you. Trust the timing. Nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You are protected. You are surrounded by divine presence. You just have to trust God and pray with sincerity, and your next chapter will unfold with grace, clarity, and unexpected blessings that will make you understand why this message had to reach you today. God says this is the moment your soul has been pushed toward again and again, the moment you were meant to open your heart without fear. Because what is being revealed to you is not a punishment but a divine awakening calling your name so loudly that even the heavens tremble with concern and love for you. Archangel Michael is standing near you in this very moment, whispering through the unseen air, urging you not to turn away, urging you not to delay, urging you not to think even for a second that this message is accidental. Michael says this is serious, so much more serious than you understand, not because something terrible will destroy you, but because something deep inside you has been aching, crying, begging for truth, and tonight the truth is rising like a storm of light that refuses to wait anymore. God says you have been walking with a wounded heart while pretending to be strong. And the heavens cannot watch you crumble in silence anymore. God says the urgency you feel is not fear, but divine energy pressing into your life because something important is unfolding beneath the surface where your eyes cannot see. Jesus is calling your name softly yet desperately, like someone reaching through a doorway before it closes, because He wants you to understand that what you are stepping into is not danger but transformation. But transformation feels like breaking before it feels like blessing, and heaven knows how easily you misunderstand your own storm as punishment, when it is actually preparation for a miracle you don't yet believe you deserve. God knows you've been carrying burdens that would have crushed another person long ago. He sees the nights you try to sleep but your spirit stays awake, restless, feeling like something is coming, something big, something unknown. The heavens say that tonight's spiritual energy feels heavy because you have been waiting for clarity that refuses to arrive, and God refuses to let you continue in that confusion. That is why the message is urgent. You are safe. Nothing will go wrong with you. But the spiritual tide around you is shifting, and ignoring it would cause you deep emotional pain, the kind that happens when a person walks away from their own destiny. God does not want you to miss this alignment, because missing it would feel like losing everything you didn't even know you needed. Archangel Michael says this moment is serious because you have reached a turning point. You might not see the edge you're standing on, but heaven sees it clearly, and tonight's energy is pulling you toward a higher path you have been too afraid to take. The heavens say that if you ignore this message, you would feel spiritual sorrow later, not because God punishes, but because your own heart would realize it walked away from a chance that only comes once in a lifetime. God is begging you to stay open, not terrified, because the shift coming toward you is not something dark. It is something hidden, something that has been preparing itself behind the scenes for much longer than you imagine. God says He has watched every moment you felt abandoned, every moment you prayed and received silence, every moment you wanted to collapse but held yourself together for the sake of others. Heaven has not been ignoring you. Heaven has been aligning something. Jesus is pleading for you because He knows how close you are to giving up on something you should not give up on. He knows your patience has been tested beyond limits, and He knows the weight on your shoulders is heavier than you admit. You don't need to pretend with God. You don't need to be strong in front of Michael. You don't need to hide your breaking points from the one who made your soul. Tonight's spiritual urgency is here because heaven wants you to know you are not alone. You are not forgotten, and you are not standing in the dark for no reason. Something has been trying to block your blessing. Not a person, not a curse, not an enemy in the physical sense, but a spiritual heaviness born from your own fear, your doubts, your heartbreak, your exhaustion. That heaviness has wrapped around your path like fog, blinding you from seeing what God has been preparing. God says tonight the fog breaks. Tonight the spiritual weight begins to lift. Tonight the truth becomes louder than the lies your past whispered to you. But the heavens also say that if you turn away right now, the fog will remain longer, not as punishment, but because your spirit would not receive the clarity it was finally ready for. That is why the message feels urgent. That is why Michael is calling your name so intensely. That is why Jesus feels desperate, not because something harmful is coming, but because something important is being delivered to your soul. God says you have cried in silence far too many times, hoping someone would notice, hoping someone would understand how deeply you are hurting even though you act like everything is fine. Heaven noticed. Heaven understood. Heaven felt the cracks in your heart. Heaven saw the times you wanted to talk but couldn't find the words. Heaven saw the moments when everyone around you was laughing but you felt like a ghost sitting among people who didn't see the truth inside you. This message is here because heaven refuses to let you keep suffering alone. Something in your life needs healing. Something in your life needs clarity. Something in your life needs truth. And God is tired of watching you endure silently. Archangel Michael says the spiritual urgency around tonight is not about fear, but about timing. Certain blessings, certain revelations, certain emotional breakthroughs don't wait forever. Doors of destiny open at scheduled moments, and God wants you to be awake and aware when yours opens. If you walk away right now, that door may still come later, but you will feel the heavy ache of what could have been sooner. Heaven wants you to enter this moment without fear. With trust, with faith, because God promises you are safe, protected, and surrounded by divine presence. God says the bad news you fear is not real danger. The phrase very bad news is not literal harm. It is symbolic spiritual language meaning a moment of confrontation with truth, a moment that feels uncomfortable before it becomes liberating. God says what feels like bad news is actually emotional release, the kind where you finally let go of something heavy, and the process feels painful before it feels peaceful. Heaven wants you to open your heart before that spiritual moment arrives so you don't misinterpret it as danger or punishment. Nothing bad will happen to you. Nothing harmful is coming toward your life. You are protected. You are watched over. You are safe. This is emotional urgency, spiritual urgency, not physical danger. Jesus is pleading for you because your spirit has been drowning in old wounds that you refuse to face. There is something inside you, a memory, a disappointment, a heartbreak, that you never healed from, and it has been blocking your blessings like a wall of shadow standing between you and your own future. The heavens say that tonight, whether you realize it or not, your heart will feel something heavy rise to the surface. It may feel emotional. It may feel overwhelming. But it is not here to destroy you. It is here to free you. God is preparing your spirit for the lifting of a burden you've carried for far too long. God says He knows how much you blame yourself for things that were never your fault. He knows how you replay the past like a movie you can't stop watching. He knows how you punish yourself for choices you made when you were hurting, confused, or manipulated. Heaven says your self-punishment has been louder than your self-love, and this imbalance has kept miracles waiting outside the door of your life. God wants that to end tonight. He wants you to stop haunting yourself with memories that no longer serve you. He wants you to walk into the next chapter without dragging the chains of guilt behind you. Archangel Michael says he has tried many times to reach you through signs, through dreams, through unexpected thoughts that come from nowhere. He says you ignore those signs because you assume they are coincidences. You assume heaven wouldn't choose you for something important. But Michael says you are chosen. You have always been chosen. Not because you are perfect, but because your heart carries a purity that earth rarely sees. You give love even when you're hurting. You forgive people who don't deserve it. You carry pain quietly just to protect the people around you. Heaven sees this. Heaven honors this. Heaven is trying to reward you for this. God says the path ahead of you splits into two directions. One path is familiar, safe, but filled with continued emotional heaviness. The other path is new, unfamiliar, slightly frightening, but filled with blessings that will transform your life. Tonight's spiritual urgency is that moment of choosing. Not through actions, but through intention. Through belief. Through trust. If you believe you are meant for better, heaven will move mountains.